Today we are going to deal with the 16th unit, that is chemistry in everyday life. Let us begin with dyes. What are dyes? These are nothing but a synthetic or natural coloring matter to color fabrics, plastics. The color must be fast to the action of water, acid, alkalis, soap, light or friction. Every colored substance is not a dye, we should know that. Next is chromophores, the group with multiple bonds responsible for the color of the compound. For example, we can take it as NO2, NO, then N2. These structures, quinoid structures. Next is auxochromes, the group that intensify the color of the dye and confer the salt forming property. The groups are OH, NH2, SO3H, COOH. Next is bathochromes, the group that deepens the color. Next is hypsochromes, the group that lighten the color. The order of deepening the color is yellow to orange, orange to red, red to purple, purple to blue, and blue to green, and green to black. Next, what we are going to study is mordant, a metal ion or a metal oxide that bind the fabric and the dye. Next, what we are going to study is classification on the basis of chemical structure. Here it goes with a nitrodisperric acid, Martius yellow, prepared by the action of nitric acid, phenol, naphthol and amines. Next is azodyes, acidic azodyes. This is orange 1, orange 2, Congo red, then aniline yellow, chrysodine, butter yellow. These are the structures of it. Triphenyl, methyl then phthalate dyes, phenolphthalein indicator, indigo. Next is based on classification on the basis of applications, how we are going to use it depending on that. The one is the direct dyes. Generally, acidic and basic dyes directly apply to the fabric. The fiber NH2 and OH dyes gives fiber NH3+. This is the way the dye works. Congo red dye, cotton full red. Another example is Martius yellow. Next is vat dyes. They are used in their reduced state and after application the fabric are oxidized to the dye. For example, indigo. Indigo blue converts into indigo white, that is colorless. It binds to the cotton through hydrogen bonding. Next is mordant dyes. These do not dye fabric directly, they require a mordant. For acidic dyes, a metal hydroxide, and for basic dyes, tannin is required. The metal salts have been referred to as lakes. In grain dyes, that is azoic dyes, these are insoluble azodyes and directly produce on the fiber, that is cotton or celluloic. Nitroalanine red. Next is disperse dyes. These are water insoluble dyes and can be dispersed in colloidal form in water by suitable reagents. The fine dye particles are absorbed into the crystal structure of the fabric. These are used with synthetic fibers, fabrics, nylon, polyester. The examples are here: Celatone, fast pink B, and WB. Next, we are going to move on to chemotherapy. What is this chemotherapy? It is nothing but the treatment of diseases by chemicals having specific toxic effect upon the disease producing microorganisms without affecting the tissues of host is called as chemotherapy. Next, in this we are going to study antiseptics. These are the chemicals which prevent or check the basis of woods. If, for example, Dettol consists of chlorooxylenol and terpenol. then biethanol added to the soap, then celol, then acryflavin, then savolon, gentoin violet, then mercurochrome, then salicylic acid, picric acid, resorcinol, phenol, iodoform, boric acid, iodine, methylene blue, potassium permanganate. These are all the examples of antiseptics. Next, let us move on to the disinfectants. Disinfectants with the liquid what we use to clean the floor and all. Next, the chemical substance which completely destroy the microorganisms or stop their growth but are harmful to human tissues are called disinfectants. Here 1% phenol or SO2 in a very low concentration and chlorine in about 0.2 to 0.4 parts per million. They are used to disinfect floor, clothes, utensils and so on. Next is antipyretics. These are given to the patient who is having fever. It lowers the temperature. They lower the body temperature, that is fever reducing. For example, the tablets are aspirin, paracetamol, then phenacetin, analgin. Next drug what we are studying is analgesic. They are pain relieving. The tablets are like the drugs are aspirin, analgin, both are antipyretic and analgesic. Then Novalgin is most widely used analgesic. Certain narcotics like codeine, morphine, then thedine, then hydrochloride, methadone, heroin are also used as analgesic. Next drug is tranquilizers, also called as psychotherapeutic drug. These are given to the mental disease patient. Reduces anxiety, induces sleep and cure mental diseases. The drugs are barbituric acid and its derivatives are seconal, luminal, methyl, dopa, hydralazine, quinine. Next, what we are going to study is sedatives and hypnotics. They are central nervous system depressant, reduced restlessness, emotional tension, and induce sleep. The tablets, the drugs are phenobarbital, Valium, glutathione, Veronal, serotonin. Next drug is anti-anxiety agent. The drugs are meprobamate or diazepam, then ipromniazide, then phenylzine. Next, tranquilizers, sedative, hypnotics, anti-anxiety agents are central nervous system stimulants. Next drug is anesthetics, the chemical substance which produce insensibility to the vital function of all types of cells, especially of nervous system temporarily are called anesthetics. Examples are general anesthetics, chloroform, flothane, local anesthetics. These are all the examples of anesthetics. Next is narcotics, the chemical substance which act as depressant and analgesic are heroin, opium. Next drug what we are going to do is antibiotics, the chemical substance which produced by microorganisms or by chemical synthesis that inhibit the growth of bacteria or even destroy them are called as antibiotics. So the drug is penicillin. It is the first antibiotic discovered by Alexander. Alexander Fleming has introduced it. It is effective against pneumonia, bronchitis and sore throat. So here is the structure of penicillin. Next, what we are going to study is a spectrum, the complete range of microorganisms that can be killed by a particular antibiotic is known as spectrum. These are of following types. One is narrow spectrum antibiotic, and another one is broad spectrum antibiotic. The examples are streptomycin, and chlorophenolic. So this streptomycin is a tuberculosis is used in a treatment. Next is chlorophenicol is used in the treatment of typhoid, dysentery, whooping cough, certain primary infections, also meningitis. Next is ampicillin, though works against large number of diseases, induce allergy. Hence, allergy test is must before its administration. Here are the examples of types of antibiotics. One is bactericidal and another one is bacteriostatic. Bactericidal is killing drug. Aminoglycosides, then ofloxacin, then penicillin are the examples of it, whereas bacteriostatic is inhibitory. Tetracycline, then anthromycin, chloramphenolic are the examples of it. Next is sulfur drugs. Sulfur drug possesses powerful bacteriostatic property due to sulfonamide group. So for pneumonia, rheumatic fever and bacillary dysentery, sulfapyrimidine is given. Next is anti-malaria. These are the drugs which cure malaria. For example, plasmoquine, atibrine. Next is antimicrobial. Antimicrobial are the drugs which are used to cure diseases caused by microbes or microorganisms. An antimicrobial may control the microbial disease as bacterial drug kill the microorganisms in the body, or as bacteriostatic drug it inhibits the growth of microorganisms or by increasing the resistance of the body to infections. Here are the examples. Sulveson, azodine. Next we are going to move on to antacids. What are these antacids? These are the drugs which neutralizes excess acid in the gastric juice and give a relief from acid indigestions. They remove the excess acid and raise the pH to appropriate level in stomach. They are mainly weak base. Here are the examples of it: magnesium hydroxide and potassium bicarbonate. Next is anti-fertility drug. The drug which are used to control the pregnancy are known as anti-fertility drug or oral contraceptives. These are essentially a mixture of estrogen or progesterone derivatives. Here are its examples: mifepristone, then norethindrone. Next is antihistamines. These antihistamines are the drugs which diminish the main action of antihistamine. This is a chemical substance which causes allergic reaction in the body, released in the body, and thus prevent the allergic reaction. These are also anti-allergic drug. For example, Benadryl, then Dimeta, then Seldane. Next, what we are going to study is rocket propellants. Rocket propellants is a combination of fuel and an oxidizer which, when ignited, generates a large volume of hot gases at a predetermined rate. Let us study the type of it. One is a solid propellant. Here is the composite of it, how it is made. A fuel is a synthetic rubber or resin such as polyurethane or polybutadiene with additives such as aluminium or magnesium. Oxidizer is ammonium perchlorate, potassium perchlorate or ammonium nitrate. Next is double base propellant, mixture of nitroglycerin and nitrocellulose in solid propellant. Ignition cannot be controlled. Next is liquid propellants. By liquid propellants, fuel is kerosene, alcohol, hydrazine, monomethyl hydrazine, and unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine liquid. liquid hydrogen. Oxidizer is liquid oxygen. Dinitrotetraoxide or nitric acid. These are the examples of biliquid propellants. Next is monopropellants like nitromethane, methyl nitrate, hydrazine and hydroperoxide. They act as a fuel as well as oxidizers. Let us know what are the advantages of liquid over solid propellants. They provide higher thrust than solid propellants. Thrust can be controlled. Hybrid propellants, let us study now. Fuel is a solid acryl rubber and its oxidizer is dinitrogen tetraoxide. Let us know the requirement of good propellant. Production of large volume of gases per gram of fuel and no residue is left. Such a propellant is a good propellant. Soaps and detergents, we are going to move to the next section. So here LO detergent, that is to wipe clean. Any cleansing agent including soap as well as synthate, that is synthetic detergents. Soaps are nothing but metallic salts of higher fatty acids. Common higher fatty acid as palmitic acid, stearic acid and also oleic acid. These are the names of the soaps. Hard soap, soft soap, transparent soap, medicated soap, marine soap. These are the types of soaps. Hard soaps are nothing but sodium salt of higher fatty acid prepared from cheap oil, contain free alkali also. Next is soft soap, potassium salt of higher fatty acids it contains. Next is transparent soap, like what you can see is Pears. You can see nowadays transparent soaps are there. They contain glycerol and prepared by dissolving toilet soaps in ethanol. Next is medicated soap, like Dettol soap you have. Soaps containing antiseptic, germicides and so on. Next is marine soap, prepared from coconut oil and gives lather with sea water also. So this is called as marine soap. Next is cleansing action of soap. It may be due to the following two factors. One is solubilization of grease into the micelle. Next is emulsification of grease. So when soap is applied onto a fabric, the tails of the soap anions are pegged into the grease stains and polar head form a charged layer around it. By mutual repulsion, the grease droplets are suspended in water, formation of emulsion and are washed away with water. We have studied this in surface chemistry, cleansing action of soap. So what happens here is micelle ion formation occur and the dirt is being pulled due to the micelle ions, and this way the cloth is being freed from the grease. Next is detergents. Sodium salt of alkyl hydrogen sulfate or long chain alkyl benzene sulfonic acid. So here are different kinds of detergents. One is anionic detergents. Here is the example of it. Next is cationic detergents, also called as invert detergents. Also we have non-ionic detergents. So superiority of detergents of soap. Which soap is good? With hard water soap from insoluble calcium and magnesium carboxylates, detergents form calcium and magnesium soluble salts. Let us move on to cleansing action of detergents. The cleansing action of detergents are same as that of soap. For example, a detergent sodium lauryl sulfate contains the polar group SO3 minus along with the long hydrocarbon chain. It is an anemic detergent in which the anion associate together to form an ionic micelle. Similarly, cationic detergent also forms a micelle. Chemical in cosmetics. What we use cosmetic in that, what chemicals it consists, that we are going to study now. Cosmetics are the substance used to improve a person's appearance by beautifying and improving complexion of the skin. What comes under it is one, cream. Creams are semi-solid preparation applied on the face to prevent the skin from drying and to provide necessary moisture, nutrient and vitamin to keep it healthy. The cream has following the things. One is a cold cream. Different types of creams we are studying now. One is cold cream. They are water in oil type. It is made up of emulsion containing vegetable or mineral oil, fat, beeswax, then lanolin. Perfume is added in that. Borax and emulsifier. They serve as moisture, lubricant the skin and protect it against wind. One more cream is vanishing cream. When you apply it is completely absorbed by the skin. You cannot feel that you have applied the cream. So it is called as vanishing cream. They contain stearic acid, alkali water and humectant, that is glycerin. These keep the skin cool and oily. Vanishing cream provides a thin film on the skin having a higher melting point than skin temperature and it seems to disappear. Next is cleansing cream. These remove facial makeup, surface grime, sooty dirt and oil. So cleansing one more example is astringent. Astringent is used to remove the dirt, so it is a cleansing cream. Next is bleach cream. These bleach the skin to make it appear fair. So it is harsh on the skin. Next is sunburn cream. These save the skin from sunburn in the summer. So if you apply that cream, you will be saving your skin from being tanned. Next is foundation cream. These are usually used for the makeup. They provide a base or a powder to a makeup. Next is talcum powder. Talc is a soft mineral having a form of magnesium silicate. In a powder form, it is used in the skin to make it feel smooth, dry, irritation free, which is known as talcum powder. This is also used for the prickles. Modern face powder and baby powder protect skin from heat, absorbs perspiration and impart brightness to the skin by covering blemishing and imperfections. The important ingredient to the talcum powders are, what is this talcum powder consist of? Which is hydrated magnesium silicate. Since talcum causes inflammation to the skin by forming salicylic acid, therefore aluminium hydroxylate is preferred. Next is adherents. Zinc and magnesium soaps, for example zinc stearate, absorbance chalk absorbs perspiration without any sign of absorption. Next is to provide opacity and colloidal clay used. These mask the enlarged pores and minor blemishes and protects the skin from ultraviolet radiations. Next is specific ingredients, cooling agents and antiseptic, for example boric acid. Next is baby powder generally contains zinc stearate as adhesive and boric acid as antiseptic. The particle size of good talcum should be more than 70 micron. Next we are going to move on to the deodorants, the substance which remove or conceal unpleasant bodily smell are known as deodorants. They generally possess antibacterial properties and prevent bacterial decomposition of sweat by inhibiting, killing or removing the bacteria responsible for unpleasant body odor. Some deodorants mask the unpleasant body odor with more pleasant fragrance. Aluminium salts such as aluminium sulfate, aluminium chloride, aluminium hydrochloride, aluminium alkylate, then aluminium chlorohydroxyacetate possess excellent antibacterial properties. In addition to aluminium salt, zinc oxides and zinc stearate are used since they are astringents. They check bleeding and antiseptics. Next is phenolic antibacterial are used in soap, creams, baby powder, shaving lotions or as a body deodorants. We are going to move on to the next term called as perfumes. A perfume may be defined as a mixture of pleasant smelling substance incorporated in a suitable solvent. It is composed of 3 ingredients given below as vehicle or solvent, To keep the pleasant smelling substance together, a solvent is required, which is also known as vehicle. Water ethanol mixture is the most common vehicle, which is volatile, odorless, and non-irritant. Next is fixative, the substance which equalizes the rate of evaporation of various odoriferous or odor producing components of the perfume. The fixatives may be essential oil fixatives or animal fixatives, then resinous fixatives, synthetic fixatives. Essential oil fixatives can be sandalwood, most common are vetan, orris, then fat oil, then animal fixatives are musk, then Rena's festives is benzoic tolu balsam, then synthetic fixatives are glycerol, diacetate. Next is odoriferous substance. They may be natural or synthetic. Let us look on to natural perfumes. They are obtained from plants and animals, for example, essential oil, terpenes, then linalool, then limonin, then camphor. These are the natural perfumes, whereas the perfumes derived from animal sources are muscone, then civet, castor musk, then ambergris, then musk zibata. Next, what we are moving to is synthetic or semi-synthetic perfumes. These are esters, alcohols, nitro compounds, aldehydes, biphenyls, ketones. Next, let us move on to next section called as chemicals in food. One is food additives, the chemical, synthetic or natural substance added to food preservations for different purpose as given below are known as food additives. One is nutrient, to increase the nutritive value of the food, for example carbohydrates, proteins, etc. are added. Next is preservatives, to retard spoilage from bacterial action, for example sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite. In meat they add, and tomato ketchup, fruit juice they add the sodium benzoic acid, whereas sodium metabisulfite, citric acid. In pickles, sodium metabisulfite in pickles, then citric acid. In fruit drinks, sodium propionate in bread and cheese, and sulfur dioxide in wine and juices. Then next we have flavor agents to enhance the flavor or to develop flavor. Alkyl alkonates, esters, monosodium glutamates, that is MSG, then vanillin, then cinnamaldehyde. These are the things added as a flavor. Next is antioxidants, to exclude oxygen to retard or prevent spoilage. BHT is added. Also BHA called as butylated hydroxynol. BHA, it is butylated hydroxyanisole. Next is sweetener, to add a sweet taste, for example saccharin, aspartame, sucralose. Colorants, like to give color, for example amaranth and kesar are used. Next is ceramics. They are inorganic non-metallic materials made of clay that is permanently hardened by heat at high temperature. Next is clay. Certain earths which are highly plastic when wet and converted to hard mass when heated, which is unaffected by water. Clay is essentially hydrated aluminium silicate. Clay with a low content of iron is usually white, so it burns white and is called kaolin or china clay. We also have types of ceramics here. Broadly, they are of three types: clay product, then refractories, then glasses. Refractories are nothing but any material that can withstand high temperature without softening or suffering from deformation in the shape. Let us see the classification of refractories. They have been classified into three main, that is acid factories, then basic factories, then neutral refractories, then abrasive ceramics, Then superconducting ceramics. Next, let us move on to insect attractants, repellents. Also we have sex attractants. These are the chemical substances secreted by the insects used as signals by the other member of the same family. These are very powerful and required in very small amount. Some common sex attractants are here. Next is insect repellents. These are chemical substances used to drive out the troublesome insects rather than killing them. Here are the common mosquito repellents. Dimethyl phthalate. Next, what we are going to study is pest control. By the use of sex attractants, particular insects can be collected at one place and later killed by usual insecticides without killing the desired insect, which are otherwise useful. Let us revise so long what we have done. So we have studied about drugs, the description and examples we are going to study, revise once again. One is analgesic. They relieve or decrease the pain without causing unconsciousness. They are also known as painkillers. Then we have tranquilizers, also called as antidepressants. These are used for treatment of mental diseases. Next is antiseptics. They are applied on the living tissues to kill or prevent the growth of microorganisms. Next is disinfectants. These are applied on floor, instruments or wall to kill microorganisms but are not safe for the application on the living tissues, also can't be swallowed. Next is antimicrobial. These are used to either kill bactericidal or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms. Bacteriostatics. Next is antipyretics. These drugs bring down the body temperature during the fever. Next drug is anti-fertility drug. Prevents pregnancy in women by controlling the menstrual cycle and ovulation. Next is antacids, used for the treatment of acidity, methyl hydroxides, and are generally used as antacids. Next is antibiotics. These are the chemical substances which are produced by microorganisms like bacteria and fungi and are able to kill or stop the growth of pathogenic microorganisms. Next is antihistamines. These drugs compete with histamines for finding sites of receptors and thus interfere with the natural action of histamine. Here are some artificial sweetening agents. It is aspartame, then saccharin with its structure we are having, then sucralose, then ultimate. Next is food preservatives. These are the chemical substances which prevent the undesirable changes in flavor, color, texture of the food during processing and storage of food. Here is the examples of it: table salt, sugar, vegetable oil, sodium benzoate. Next term is cleansing agent. Here we have soap, sodium or potassium salts or fatty acids. Here is a preparation of soap called as saponification. So glycerol ester of stearic acid combine with sodium hydroxide to form sodium stearate and glycerol. Soaps do not work with hard water as it forms insoluble salt with calcium and magnesium ion present in hard water. Next term is detergent. Sodium or potassium salts of sulfonic acid. These can work with hard water. Also anionic detergents. Sodium salts of sulfonated long chain alcohols or hydrocarbons. Here its example. Next is cationic detergents. Quaternary ammonium salts of amines with acetates, chlorates or bromates. Next is non-ionic detergents. They do not contain any ion. The example is polyethylene glycol. So here it was a little brief summary of it. By this we have finished chemistry in everyday life.